Welcome to where the magic happens. This is where I film clips. This is where I have sex. Anyway, it's not that cold today, like it's warmed up a little bit, but I like feeling cozy. Sometimes I film in my office, but I just decided to film in my bedroom because that's where I was filming clips already. So I was like, might as well do a YouTube video while we're at it. Usually I kind of go off the cuff when I do YouTube videos. I try to make them more like fluid and a little bit less like scripted than maybe like something that I post on a clip site might be, and like more like real, like more me. I'm not putting on a persona. I'm not like, you know, like, oh, look at my eyes, blah, blah, blah. This time I kind of wanted to talk about things regarding why I chose what I chose to do, like why I do online domination, why femdom is the category that I enjoy filming the most. And a little bit of that comes from like background. When I was growing up, some of you might relate to this. It was a very conservative Bible Belty area that I grew up in. I grew up in church. I went to church 3 times a week, twice on Sundays, once on Wednesdays. And then if there was ever a revival in town, I was going then as well. Hated it, hated church so much. Most of the friends that I had were via church. Most of my life was consumed by church, and I was very unhappy. I didn't really get that I was unhappy because of church. I was just like I didn't ever feel like I fit in anywhere, and that's a whole other fucking bag to unwrap or whatever. However, the way that sex and sexuality was always talked about and the way that it was sort of like explained to me, I don't want to say by the church because the church doesn't really talk about it, but there are like times that they explain like the wifely duties and like the expectations and like why you should wait for marriage and like all this shit that like made it so scary. Like sex and sexuality was so terrifying to me growing up, and the way that specifically the way that like heteronormative relationships were presented to me in the dynamic, I guess, of religion and how they were supposed to be, and even sort of like how friends and relatives talked about their relationships and their sex lives. When I was a teenager and learning about all of this stuff, learning about sexuality, I was horrified, basically. I was like, I don't want to have this life that everyone has where you're just like forced to do whatever your husband wants you to do. And it was just like this terrifying thing. And I was like, there's so much more that I want out of life than to be a wife. I wanted to feel like sexy. I wanted to feel attractive. I didn't want the only person that was allowed to like look at me to be my husband. You know how relationships on like 90s TV sitcoms were, where it was just like Everybody Loves Raymond, that kind of shit.
Wake up in the morning and she's there. You come home at night and she's there. You eat, she's there. You go to sleep, there. And I know that sounds like a bad thing. But it's not. It's not. Not if it's the right person.
I would like a minute for rebuttal.
And it's just like, you hate each other, get a fucking divorce. That's sort of how relationships were presented to me always. And I was terrified of that. I was terrified of that. I did not want that at all. And then I became familiar with kink and what kink encompassed. Not just kink in general, but queerness too, right? There were types of relationships that you could have outside of something heteronormative, and whatever that meant, whoever you're attracted to, whatever kind of relationship that you had, didn't have to be based in something that was extremely rigid or some sort of expectation from religion or the church or anyone else. You could make a relationship your own. And kink was very, very interesting to me in a lot of ways. And specifically, once I started finding out that like dominatrix was a real job, like people actually do that. That's not like a joke. People actually do that. Like that's a thing. And I think I was like 17 or 18 and I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. I want to be a dominatrix. And I'm pretty sure I even said that to like my mother. And she was like, whatever, you know, whatever makes you happy. But when I found out that like people could have kinks, have things that they were interested in that weren't even necessarily based in sex. Some people are very turned on by balloons. Some people are very attracted to shoes, and not just when they're being worn by people, but just like the idea of a shoe. You know, like there are people that have attraction to things, to objects. There's attraction that's solely based on emotion. Like I'm demisexual. My basis of attraction to someone is almost never based on like physicality. Like I can be physically attracted to someone, but only if there is an emotional connection. I can legitimately like think someone's attractive and then like get to know them and see them and like what they're saying is very racist or homophobic, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, they're so unattractive. Like I legitimately will like lose a physical attraction. I cannot experience solely physical attraction. Like I've never been able to do that. And learning that that's part of queerness, and that not caring about sort of like the outside of a person, not caring about gender, not caring about all of those things, that's like a queer thing. And there's a lot of queerness in the kink community. I think once I realized that I could do this, that's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to do something where I was showing myself as someone who is dominating, who is powerful, who has domination gear, boots, the corset, like all that stuff. I like the look of it, but I also like how empowering it is and can be for the people that I interact with. I've always loved encouraging people to explore aspects of their sexuality, their gender that maybe they didn't know they could, you know? I always want people to feel like they can come to me and be like, I want to try something and I'm nervous about it, and I can say, oh my God, let's do this. Let's try this. So that's an aspect of my job that I really, really love. And doing it as work, obviously I want financial compensation for my work, but I really love what I do. And what brought me here, what gravitated me towards this path was not because of money alone. I don't think I'm a good enough actor. I don't think I could pretend. I don't think I can pretend that well. I don't think I could keep it going if I did not have like an actual passion for what I did. I truly don't think that I could do any of this. And there's like downsides to it, of course. Like there are some people that treat you like you're a kink dispenser. Some people build a relationship with you and then ghost you. And when I say relationship, like there are people that I have conversations with. I will talk to someone and they'll tell me things about their life, and then they'll suddenly just stop talking to you. And it feels sometimes like rejection, and it's something you have to learn sort of how to put your guard up, how to say like, okay, it's not personal. This is a job. This is just a job. You can sometimes accidentally get more emotional about someone than you intend to be. There are times when people really fucking annoy you and you don't want to deal with them, and like I'm not the best at that. Anyway, what brought me to this job was learning that sex and sexuality are so much more fluid and open and exciting, and they're not as rigid as the way that sort of polite society, religious dogma, heteronormativity might want you to believe. And that might sound silly, but in a lot of ways, like kink introduced me to allowing myself to explore aspects of my personality that allowed me to like accept being queer. There's so much more that you can get out of life when you accept parts of yourself that not everyone else can. If you're able to accept yourself and what you do and like what you enjoy and the person that you are, no matter how the outside world views you, you're going to be able to have more peace at the end of the day. You're going to say, okay, if you can't accept me for being queer, then that's a loss for you, not me. I'm not less bi, good riddance. And there's so much about this job, but sex work in general, that I think some people don't understand. Sex work is work, period. End of story. That's just, and what that means is that it's a job, whatever. I've been seeing swerfs be miserable people online because Anora won awards. I don't even know if it's good. I've never even seen it. I don't even give a shit about that movie. And the way that people are being the most horrorphobic, swerfy, irritating, obnoxious shitheads about it is driving me insane. Anyway, what I love about my job is that I can explore kink while also helping other people to feel safe to do the same. And that's what I like about my job. And that's why I chose this as my job, because kink in a lot of ways opened me up to accept myself, allowed me to see that there were things about relationships and sex that were beyond what is the heteronormative status quo that is handed to you on a platter when you're growing up. And I think nowadays it's maybe different than it was when I was a kid, but it opened my world up, and I like the opportunity. I like having the opportunity to open other people's world up as well. So that's why I chose this job. And yes, I did choose. I think that's all. I'm gonna try to start streaming on Twitch, and I've started a Substack. Please try to hold me accountable to posting on that. But I'm gonna try to stream on Twitch more than I have been, and I'm gonna try to post on Substack, have like more written word things about what I do and why I do it. Thank you for watching. My battery's gonna die, so if it just cuts off, it's just because my battery